Bambi! The king is in danger!
Have you ever wondered how a poor orphan girl, who had nobody in this world, became the person who saved the king's life and changed her destiny forever? What if I told you that the same girl people ignored, mocked, and pitied would one day stand before the entire kingdom as a hero? Stay with me, because this story will teach you that greatness can come from the most unexpected places. Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Before we continue this powerful life lesson story, please take a moment to subscribe, like this video, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our inspiring stories. Now, come with me as I take you through the story. Bambi had no parents, no family, and no one to protect her. After losing her mother at a very young age, she was forced to survive on her own. Every morning, she woke up with the same question in her heart. Will I find something to eat today? There was nobody to answer her. Nobody to comfort her. Nobody to tell her that everything would be alright. The only person she had ever truly loved was her mother. And now, even that comfort was gone. Sometimes, late at night, Bambi would sit alone and stare into the darkness. Tears would quietly roll down her cheeks as memories filled her mind. She could still hear her mother's gentle voice. She could still remember the warmth of her embrace. "Be strong, my child," her mother would always say. "No matter how difficult life becomes, never let your heart become bitter." Those words became the only treasure Bambi had left. One cold evening, as she sat beneath a tree clutching her worn-out cloth, hunger twisted painfully inside her stomach. She looked up at the sky and whispered softly, "Mother, are you still watching over me?" The wind blew gently across her face. For a moment, it almost felt like an answer. Bambi closed her eyes and held back her tears. She had cried enough. What she needed now was strength. Little did she know that fate was already preparing a path for her. A path that would lead her from loneliness and poverty to a destiny beyond anything she could imagine. The story begins with a young orphan girl named Bambi. Bambi had no parents, no family, and no one to protect her. After losing her mother at a very young age, she was left alone to face the harsh realities of life. Each day, she wandered through the village searching for food and hoping to survive another night. The villagers often looked at her with pity. "Poor child," some would whisper as she passed. A few kind-hearted people gave her leftovers, but others chased her away whenever she came near. "Go away. Stop hanging around here," they would shout. Many believed her life would amount to nothing. To them, she was just another unfortunate orphan struggling to survive. But despite her hardships, Bambi possessed something rare. She had a kind heart. Even when people treated her badly, she never responded with anger. Instead, she greeted everyone with respect and a gentle smile. Whenever an elderly person needed help carrying a load, Bambi was always the first to step forward. "Thank you, my child," the old people would say. She also cared for injured animals, often using the little food she had to feed them. And whenever she found something to eat, she willingly shared it with those who were even hungrier than she was. Deep inside that poor orphan girl was a goodness that many wealthy people lacked. But unknown to everyone, fate was quietly preparing Bambi for a destiny far greater than anyone could imagine. One evening, while searching for firewood, Bambi wandered deeper into the bushes than usual. As the sun slowly disappeared behind the horizon, she noticed an old blind woman sitting alone beneath a tree. The woman, known as Mama Zara, looked frightened. Her hands trembled as though she had seen something terrible. Suddenly, she reached out and grabbed Bambi's hand tightly. "My child," she whispered urgently, "the king is in danger." Bambi froze. "The king?" she asked in confusion. "How can someone like me help a king I have never met?" Mama Zara lowered her voice. "I overheard dangerous men speaking in secret. They are planning something terrible. Someone wants the king dead during the royal celebration." Bambi's eyes widened in shock. Before she could ask another question, Mama Zara suddenly gasped and collapsed to the ground. "Mama Zara!" Bambi cried. Her voice attracted nearby villagers, who rushed over. But when Bambi explained what had happened, they simply shook their heads. "Do not listen to her," one man said. "The old woman has lost her senses," another added. Nobody took the warning seriously. Yet Bambi could not forget those words. Something deep inside her told her that Mama Zara had spoken the truth. Days later, while gathering fruits near a hidden path, Bambi heard unfamiliar voices nearby. Curious, she quietly moved closer and hid behind thick bushes. Two suspicious men were speaking in low tones. "The poison is ready," one of them said. "The king will never suspect a thing," the other replied. "And during the celebration, everything will be finished." Bambi's heart nearly stopped. The king. The poison. The celebration. Mama Zara had been right all along. Terrified, Bambi ran back to the village and reported everything to the village leaders. But instead of listening, they laughed. "You expect us to believe such a story?" one elder mocked. Another shook his head. "You are only seeking attention, little girl." Humiliated and disappointed, Bambi walked away as their laughter echoed behind her. But as tears filled her eyes, determination filled her heart. "If nobody will help," she whispered to herself, "then I will find a way to warn the king myself." The royal celebration was only days away, and Bambi knew time was running out. With nothing but courage in her heart and determination in her spirit, she set out on a dangerous journey to warn the king. The road was far more difficult than she had imagined. One night, a violent storm swept across the land. Fierce winds howled through the darkness, and heavy rain battered her from every direction. "Please, don't let me fail," Bambi cried as she struggled to stay on her feet. But somehow, she pressed on. On another day, a group of hungry thieves surrounded her. "Hand over whatever you have," one of them demanded. Bambi opened her empty hands. "I have nothing except a mission that could save a life." The thieves laughed and left her behind. Days later, she became lost and wandered for hours beneath the scorching sun. Exhausted and hungry, she sank to the ground. For a moment, she thought about giving up. But then she remembered Mama Zara's warning. If she stopped now, the king might die. Slowly, she stood up and continued her journey. Meanwhile, the mysterious plot against the king continued to unfold. The assassins were growing confident. Everything seemed to be going exactly as they had planned. After days of struggle, Bambi finally arrived at the royal palace. Relief filled her heart. But her troubles were far from over. The palace guards took one look at her ragged clothes and burst into laughter. "You want to see the king?" one guard mocked. "Look at yourself first," another said. Bambi pleaded desperately. "Please, I have important information. The king is in danger." But nobody listened. To them, she was just a dirty orphan girl seeking attention. As the sun set, Bambi sat outside the palace gates, disappointed and helpless. Then something caught her attention. Not far from the palace walls, one of the king's most trusted advisors, Lord Darius, was meeting secretly with a group of unknown men. The meeting was hidden beneath the cover of darkness. The men spoke in hushed voices before quickly disappearing into the night. Bambi narrowed her eyes. A strange feeling settled in her heart. Why would the king's advisor meet with strangers in secret? She whispered. For the first time, a frightening thought crossed her mind. Could Lord Darius himself be involved? Determined to uncover the truth, Bambi secretly followed Lord Darius through the darkness. Carefully hiding behind trees and walls, she listened as the advisor met with several mysterious men. What she heard left her speechless. "The poison is ready," one man whispered. Lord Darius smiled coldly. Good. During the royal celebration, the king would drink from the cup. Before thousands of witnesses, he would die, and nobody would suspect me. Bambi felt her heart pound violently. It was true. Lord Darius was not just involved in the plot. He was the mastermind behind it. For years, he had secretly desired the throne, and the upcoming celebration would provide the perfect opportunity to seize power. As Bambi slowly stepped back, horror filling her eyes, a dry branch suddenly snapped beneath her feet. Crack! The voices stopped. "Who's there?" one of the men shouted. A terrifying silence followed. Then Lord Darius pointed into the darkness. "Catch her!" Bambi turned and ran. Immediately, the conspirators chased after her. She raced through dark paths, her heart pounding like a drum. She pushed through crowded streets and narrow passages, desperately searching for safety. "Don't let her escape," the men shouted behind her. Several times they almost caught her. Several times she stumbled and nearly fell. One mistake would mean death. During the frantic chase, one of the conspirators dropped a small sealed container while jumping over a ditch. Without thinking, Bambi grabbed it and kept running. Moments later, she found a hiding place and opened it carefully. Her hands trembled. Inside was a deadly poison. The very poison intended for the king. Tears filled her eyes as she realized what she was holding. This was the proof she desperately needed. But now the danger had become even greater. The conspirators knew she had seen everything. And they would do anything to silence her forever. The long-awaited royal celebration finally arrived. Thousands of people gathered to witness the grand occasion. Music filled the air, dancers entertained the crowd, and laughter echoed throughout the palace grounds. At the center of it all sat the king, smiling proudly, completely unaware of the danger surrounding him. Meanwhile, hidden among the guests, the assassins prepared for the final stage of their plan. Bambi's heart raced as she pushed through the crowd. "I must reach the king," she whispered desperately. But every attempt ended the same way. The guards blocked her path. "Step back," one guard barked. "You cannot approach the king." As precious seconds slipped away, Bambi's fear grew stronger. The poison drink was already being carried toward the royal table. Time was running out. Every second mattered. Then came the moment. The king lifted a golden cup. Bambi's eyes widened in horror. Without thinking, she broke through the line of guards and ran forward. The crowd gasped. "What is she doing?" people shouted. The guards rushed to stop her. But Bambi gathered every ounce of strength she had and screamed at the top of her lungs. "Do not drink it." Instantly, the celebration fell silent. The music stopped. The dancers froze. The king paused with the cup still in his hand. Everyone stared at the young orphan girl standing before the throne. Breathing heavily, Bambi pointed toward the cup. "Your Majesty, your life is in danger. I heard the plot. I saw the secret meetings. They prepared poison for you." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Others laughed nervously. But Bambi quickly reached into her clothing and pulled out the sealed container. "This is the proof," she said. The king immediately ordered the royal physician to examine it. The entire kingdom watched in tense silence. Moments later, the physician's face turned pale. He slowly looked at the king. "Your Majesty," he said, his voice trembling, "this container holds deadly poison." A wave of shock swept through the crowd. The king stared at the cup in his hand. Only then did everyone realize the terrifying truth. The king had been only seconds away from death. The king immediately ordered a full investigation. Before the day ended, the truth emerged. Lord Darius and his accomplices were exposed before the entire kingdom. The evidence against them was overwhelming, and their crimes shocked everyone. "Arrest them at once," the king commanded. The conspirators were captured before they could escape, and the kingdom erupted in outrage. As the king reflected on everything that had happened, he realized the painful truth. Without Bambi's courage, he would have been dead. An orphan girl had succeeded where powerful officials had failed. She had risked her life to save a man she had never even met. Days later, the king summoned Bambi before the entire kingdom. The grand gathering was filled with nobles, elders, and ordinary citizens. Everyone expected the king to simply thank her. Instead, he rose from his throne and declared, "From this day forward, Bambi shall be known as a hero of this kingdom." The crowd fell silent. The king rewarded her with gold beyond her imagination. He gave her a beautiful home and promised that she would never know hunger again. Then he made another announcement. In honor of Bambi's kindness and bravery, a special fund shall be created to care for orphan children throughout the kingdom. Thunderous cheers filled the air. The same people who had once ignored Bambi now applauded her with pride and admiration. Months later, Bambi visited Mama Zara's grave. She stood quietly, placing flowers beside it. "Thank you," she whispered softly. "None of this would have happened without you." Just then, an elderly stranger approached. "There is something you should know," the old man said. Bambi listened carefully as he revealed a shocking secret. Mama Zara had once served the king's father and had spent many years protecting the kingdom from hidden dangers. Before her death, she had spoken of a prophecy. One day, she had said, "A brave orphan girl will save the king." The old man smiled gently. "That girl was you, Bambi." Tears filled Bambi's eyes. At that moment, everything finally made sense. Their meeting had never been an accident. It had been destiny. As the sun slowly set, Bambi stood looking toward the future. No longer an abandoned orphan. No longer a forgotten child. She had become a symbol of courage, kindness, and hope. Her story spread throughout the kingdom, inspiring generations to come. And people never forgot the lesson her life had taught them. Greatness is not determined by wealth, status, or birth. Sometimes, the person who changes the world is the one nobody notices. The end. Thanks for watching. I hope you were entertained.